So, Aaron, in this session, we're going to talk about some of the barriers, the myths, the obstacles people think before they put these kinds of logistic plans in place. One of the first ones you mentioned is it's too expensive, right? Can you explain what's too expensive, and can you give an example of why that becomes an issue?
Well, some people look at logistics as they just want to flip a switch and it's done and it doesn't cost much. But to put together a plan, it's extensive in time and resources to put together a proper plan to take care of people and keep them safe and healthy and all that. Because to put together a good logistics plan, you don't just sit down in a room and put together a couple pages of notes and say, here we go, we got it. Logistics, you've got to do the things, you've got to get out in the field, in my opinion. You got to do these things. You got to look at, for instance, I look back where I retired from, and you got logistics for Atlanta, Metro Atlanta. You got logistics for Valdosta, Georgia. You got logistics for Hayhira, Georgia. I mean, you got different way. You got to look at those places. What's available there? Number one is if the things are available, what is available there? If they're not available, how do you set it up? How do you do it in Valdosta, Georgia versus Metro Atlanta? You've got to put your eyes on it and not just what is available, but what can be available to you if you have to provide a certain plan. If you have to do sleeper trailers, if you have to do tents, if you don't have to do that, what are the hotels? So you've got to spend, in my opinion, you've got to spend some time in the field looking, okay, if we have storms in these areas, our plan is this, we can bus them from these areas, or we can't bus them, it's too far. So you have to put a lot of eyes and ears on, the geography and all the things that logistics encompasses. You got to look at all of that. So it's not like, it's like I said, it's not just sitting down in a room putting this down on a piece of paper and having it. You've got to do it right, in my opinion, by knowing your territory, your geography, all those things, the weather. You've got to know what you could be facing. You go into South Georgia, you go into, South Texas, you get into marshland, you get into different things. So you have to start looking at the different areas of what you're going to face. So yeah, it can get expensive, but if you do it right and you're prepared, you can save money by being able to perform your work efficiently.
And Aaron, if you're a smaller organization, I mean, it sounds to me like you would almost need a full-time person doing this year round, right? To know the state, know your territory, know what areas you're going to possibly be in. How do you do that if you don't have a full-time person doing that? What would your recommendations be? Things like that. Are there groups? Are there groups of people that do this together? Is this a vendor thing? How would I go about doing that?
Yeah, you're right, Tom. There are some small companies that do not have the capability of having someone to do this on a full-time basis, because it does it. Now, once you get the plan put together, it's just, just tweaking it, making changes, but it's still a lot of work. But there are vendors out there. There are contractors out there that come in and can do this for you. Yeah, there are people out there that's available to help you and to do it for you. So yes, it's available out there.
Right. So you mentioned we're getting back to the planning process of this. People say it takes too much time, it's too expensive. But your comment is, what is safety and wellness of your workforce worth? I would think if you have an issue on safety or health and wellness, that can get very expensive too, not just from a cost standpoint, right? That can go sideways very quickly on a number of fronts: company branding, reputation, media. Maybe you talk about that for just a second.
Yeah, I mean, outside of the